Throughout the years, there have been many great rim protectors who have played in the game of basketball. And today, we're looking at my top 5 greatest of all time. They're guys who primarily played at the center position, and I'm looking at their stats, their consistency, their longevity, their peak performance, and their impact on the court. So without further ado, let's get into it. Number 5, Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain. I know, it seems crazy to have these two guys sharing the 5th spot. For one, Bill Russell is arguably the greatest defensive player in the history of the game, and Wilt Chamberlain was known for getting so many blocked shots that he probably would be the all-time record holder for most blocks in a season, most blocks in a career, and highest blocks per game average if they had tracked his stats in that era. The thing is, that's a lot of what-ifs. The only information we have on Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain is a very limited amount of footage and very few defensive numbers. We don't have blocks or steals, we don't have data on how they impacted players around the rim, and there's very few full games that we can watch of their impact. So although I certainly believe that they belong on this list, it's hard for me to put them ahead of everyone else when there's so little data to back that up. So for me, they'll have to share the 5th spot. Number 4, David Robinson. The Admiral was simply one of the greatest shot blockers and defensive players that the history of basketball has ever seen. He averaged a whopping 3 blocks over the course of his career, and he got as high as 4.5 blocks in the 91-92 season. He also made a whopping 8 all-defense teams, as this 7'1" beast had strength, length, and plenty of athleticism. He was also quick and able to cover a ton of ground in a short amount of time. He was the leader in blocks per game for only one season in his career, and a lot of that had to do with the ridiculously stiff competition of the 1990s. But regardless, he's simply one of the greatest defensive players of all time, and in his first 3 seasons in the league combined, he averaged well over 4 blocks per game. To put it simply, a defense is always going to be elite when you have this guy as the anchor down low. Number 3, Mark Eaton. Now Mark didn't have the greatest longevity, and he isn't as high on the all-time block shots list as he could have been, simply for the fact that he was nearly 26 years old when he was an NBA rookie. But as soon as he got into the league, he was immediately a major problem for opposing offenses. He averaged 3.4 blocks per game in his rookie season, and he actually led the NBA in block shots 4 times in his career, getting as high as a goofy 5.6 in 1985. That is the highest single-season blocks per game average in NBA history, and he was also named the Defensive Player of the Year that season. He would also go on to be the Defensive Player of the Year in 1989 as well. Standing at 7 foot 4 inches tall, this guy was an absolute monster in the paint, and wasn't just swatting shots, but was constantly disrupting plenty of them. He made 5 all-defense teams in his career as well, and alongside of Karl Malone, he was regularly a nightmare for anyone who dared to challenge him. He didn't have the greatest speed and quickness, but with his size, with his length, and with his intelligent basketball IQ, he certainly made up for it and some. Number 2, Dikembe Mutombo. Mount Mutombo was the epitome of an aggressive player in the painted area, as he went after everything, constantly contesting shots and blocking plenty of them. He made 6 all-defense teams in his career, but 4 of those seasons he was the Defensive Player of the Year. His 4 DPOY trophies is tied for the most in NBA history, and along with that, he led the NBA in blocked shots 3 times in his career, getting as high as 4.5 in the 95-96 season with the Denver Nuggets. He played for many different teams throughout his career, but there was never a time where Mutombo wasn't having an impact defensively, and as far as his defense goes, that aged extremely graciously, as he even won the Defensive Player of the Year trophy in 2001 when he was in his mid-30s. His ridiculous length made him an absolute nightmare, and he was even a highlight machine on defense, as he was always wrapping up the blocked shot with his iconic finger wag. One can only imagine how many block shots he would have averaged if he played in the 1980s when very few perimeter shots were taken. Number 1, Hakeem Olajuwon. Yes, the Dream had the length and the size just like many of the guys on this list. But unlike the rest of the guys on this list, Olajuwon was also extremely agile and very quick, which allowed him to make up ground very fast and contest even perimeter slashers who beat him off the dribble. Hakeem could do every kind of block shot. He could protect the rim, he could do chase down blocks, and he was excellent as a help defender. He was an absolute nightmare on the defensive end as he won 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards, he made 9 All-Defense teams, and he led the NBA in block shots in 3 separate seasons in his career. He got as high as 4.6 blocks per game in the 89-90 season. And thanks to his tremendous consistency and longevity, he is the all-time leader in block shots by a country mile. Given the fact that the game has changed in recent years, and there's now more perimeter shots being taken, which means less opportunities to block shots, I really have a hard time seeing anyone challenge Hakeem as the greatest shot blocker of all time anytime soon. Here is my list of honorable mentions. Should any of these tremendous shot blockers have made my top 5 instead? I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments section below. Thanks for watching as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.